Alright, welcome back. Another streaming attempt here. I think I got some of my issues sorted from last time, and seemed to just be a setting here in OBS. So what I wanted to do tonight is come on and just look at some various items that I recently found over Christmas. My parents are at that stage where they're preparing to move and cleaning up the house. And so they found a whole bunch of things that belonged to me when I was a kid, and I was pretty surprised by a number of them. Various items relating to my youth, not so much gaming, but a couple of interesting collectibles here, and I'm glad I got them back. And you see right here a WWF Magazine. I had a subscription to WWF Magazine for many, many years, and I have a whole stack of these. I'm only going to pull out a couple, but I was going through these, and very funny. Just these magazines. You know, back in the day, this was, as we can see, some kids of the 90s. Guess they were the feature fans of the month, as it were. You know, this was my connection to wrestling, and I remember watching Superstars and thinking, oh man, if I could only get these magazines. And up we have Jack Tunney, who was the fake commissioner of the World Wrestling Federation. These are in pretty good condition, and it just took me back to a time, actually, I think these are like 94, 95, so right when the WWF was getting really bad. But you know what, it was my youth, and boxing's best come to King of the Ring. Actually, if this was this 95? October 95. So if they cover King of the Ring in this issue, I was actually at that King of the Ring. It's going to be interesting. But, oh yeah, so King Mabel. This was when Viscera, or whatever he's called these days, was one of the top dogs. Jean-Pierre Lafitte. So this, again, lean times for the World Wrestling Federation. This was funny. Bret Hart was giving you an introduction to America Online and the Internet. So that was interesting. Of course, they would always advertise their video games. And if we look here, obviously I had all of these Acclaim games, which were actually pretty terrible. Sean Waltman, pre-drugs, so we can see there, the 1-2-3 Kid. I remember seeing him beat Razor Ramon live. I won't forget this. I was staying at my grandmother's house, and she had a 13-inch color television in her bedroom. And she wanted to watch Matlock, I wanted to watch Raw, and I went in there and I saw Sean Waltman beat Razor Ramon. In Your House results. Those were the cheaper pay-per-views. I remember ordering a couple of those. Bob Backlund running for president. I mean, this is just, if the WWF or WWE is bad today, but this was really bad. So, kind of an interesting issue. Bertha Faye. Yeah. So, nothing all that fascinating, I guess, but I just remember coming home. I talked on the last stream about how I was excited about Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro when I used to get those. Well, I was also very excited to get these. So, and they didn't come on the same day. Maybe I got one week, and then a week and a half later I got the other. And those were exciting times before the internet. Let's have another issue here. This was kind of interesting. I guess this was the SummerSlam, and perhaps the King of the Ring Roundup was in here, which is what I wanted to find. And of course, this particular issue, as a young guy, always was of interest to me, because of this is the beginning of the Divas era. Again, boy, we have the kids of the 90s. I never photographed myself to go in here. They were doing that Mr. Backlund push. Oh yeah, I remember the kid won the house at the first In Your House. Psycho Sid. Even have the old reply by mail thing. But, you know, it was funny because as I was going through some of this stuff, you know, some items that I had growing up were in tremendous condition, and some, like this magazine's very good condition, and some were in absolutely awful condition. But, yeah, here is the SummerSlam photo shoot. And though I was enticed, this was a terrible SummerSlam. I think this was the SummerSlam where they had the two Undertakers fighting and the whole arena was completely silent. And then you had Vince McMahon saying they're silent because they are shocked that there are two Undertakers. No, they were silent because the match was horrible. And a little video game review area. Mr. Backlund on the beach. And like still have the cutouts and the Stridex commercials. Stridex and Ico Pro. This was, yeah, this is in really good condition. Very interesting. And then I have some that, for whatever reason, I cut them up to no end. The stretchy Bret Hart. Looks like we have Sonny's leg. In Your House results. I guess I'm not going to find the King of the Ring results, but probably have about 20 or 30 of these, which obviously I'm not going to go through. But yeah, these were a blast from the past. A couple of other things as I kind of go through this find. We'll stick with the wrestling items. Pro Wrestling Illustrated from, I think this is from the 70s. Trying to see when this was. Oh, this was 1982. Pro Wrestling Illustrated from 1982. And I got this, like I said, I was friends with a guy who was into tape trading and all of that. So these were gifts from him. And this is just a kind of a blast from the past. I mean, you know, I was not, I obviously didn't get this in 1982, but you know, it was just one of the random things to collect. As you can see here, not of the production value that the WWF magazine was. But, God, is that a young Rick Martel? Look at that. Young Rick Martel. Blackjack Mulligan. Looks like we have a poster of Blackjack Mulligan. Yeah, but, you know, back those, the old school wrestling fans, you know, the guys that got Wrestling Observer before it was cool and you know, that would have a collection of these magazines was, you know, pretty impressive. And he hooked me up with a couple issues. And I wonder how much this was. $1.50. Interesting. Now I have another. Oh, this is the one from the 70s, and I got this one coming up. So I was always a big Ric Flair fan, and I believe this had like a Rookie of the Year write-up, and Ric Flair was the Rookie of the Year. Let me see if I can find that. So I carefully remove it from the packaging. This is in really good condition as well. Granted, outstanding photos of 1975 in wrestling. Gosh, look at that. I don't remember really reading too much about this. We have a calendar here. And who is that? Susan Sexton. So we even had divas back then. Haystacks Calhoun. Oh yeah, Rookie of the Year, Ric Flair. This is why he got me this magazine. And, God, just think about Rick now. Pretty funny. Tag Team of the Year, the Anderson Brothers. And then I guess the match of the year was that Spiros, Bruno Sammartino versus Spiros Arion. So, whoops, sorry about that. So I hit the camera, just a little bit of wrestling from 1975. So I just had, boxes of this stuff. And, a lot of it was not worth keeping, but this stuff was. Also, a ton of Sports Illustrated. I mean, I had probably every Sports Illustrated from 91 to 95 or 96. Again, not that it was valuable, but it's kind of interesting to look back on that time in sports. And I got this thing, which just looked cool. This was something I got in Disney World when I was very, very young. This was from, Fantasia. And I don't know, I just found this. It's kind of a cool little statue. Why throw it out? Just keep it here. Now we're going to get into some cards. And I talked about the fact that I was a pretty avid baseball card collector, sports cards collector. I haven't really shown anything on the stream, but what I found was the first set of cards I ever had. And this was given to me by an uncle. And this is how I learned about baseball. I don't know why he got this for me or what the circumstances were, but this is probably the least valuable set of baseball cards ever. But for me, and I'm obviously not going to go through all 800, these cards just really represented my youth and actually learning about baseball. I'm going to see if I can just kind of bring the camera down just a little bit on these. Get a better look here. So yeah, this was the 1987 top set. Now this card was, I guess, in a little plastic thing. I guess this is the most valuable. Rod Guidry's an old-timer, so it's not his rookie card, but whatever the case is. This was a Barry Bonds rookie. No, was it a rookie? Not a rookie, but a second-year Barry Bonds card. And for the longest time, this was baseball to me. I learned about, all the teams, all the players. I actually, learned what all these stats were. This is my entry into the sport of baseball through having these cards that I would, I would just pore over these. And Kirby Puckett, it's pretty awesome. I guess I took all of the good players and put them towards the front. These are out of order. Don Baylor, Tommy John. This is the originator of the Tommy John surgery. Look at Roger Clemens. Yeah, and I'd sort them by team. I would try to sort them by, okay, who's the best player at every position? And slowly but surely, this is how I learned about baseball. Look at that. Mark McGuire. Goose Gossage. Will Clark. I think he just went to the... Oh, that was Alan Trammell, teammate of Will Clark's, I think, at one point. Tom Seaver, Mike Schmidt. These are all worthless. But... Oh, look at this. Pete Rose. Now that Pete Rose card as a manager before he was kicked out of baseball. But yeah, this to me was baseball. And it was just cool to have them. I mean, I had probably multiples of this set over the years. But it's just how I got into the sport. And it was funny. A friend of mine, a big baseball card collector, we were going through my cards. And from this set, I had a guy named Rich Yett. Probably about 1 million Rich Yett cards. Who was not a good player. Played for the Reds. But... yeah. So it was funny. It seemed like every pack I would get, I'd pull out a Rich Yett. So it actually got me a Rich Yett rookie card. Another thing that I thought was interesting, one of the very early Topps Finest football sets. And if you remember back in the mid-2000s, early 90s to mid-90s, they were starting to come out with these sets that were just a little bit more premium, and I think this was one of the first years, 1992, of Topps Finest Football in, mint condition. I was really surprised. Like Derek Thomas, you could see the reflection. Derek Thomas, a great linebacker for the Chiefs who died early. Thurman Thomas, 4 Super Bowls with the Bills. Reggie White, and I have no idea how I got these. It doesn't even seem like I used them. Rod Woodson. Edgar Bennett, Green Bay Packers running back. Terrell Buckley. So some of these were sort of the rookies. Ampley, I don't remember any of these guys. A mirror card. Chris Mims, Robert Porsche. Boy, he played a long time. I mean, he played, I think, into the 2000s. Ricky Jackson, Leonard Russell, Michael Irvin, Mark Rippon. I was actually a fan of Mark Rippon, and a big fan of Barry Sanders. And when I pulled these out of a box, it was like a filing box, and I found all of these interesting cards. Emmitt Smith, and I'm going to get to some of the more interesting ones in a minute. Pat Swilling, I guess was the first card. So maybe this was a complete set of Topps Finest Football. I'm not going to go through the rest of these, but in any event, that was surprising. Another set of cards. Now, these are really valuable. Can I hate on the Genesis shit a little? It psychs me up. Well, I guess you're referring to that Genesis versus SNES video that I did. And I had the Genesis, but I always thought the SNES was better. But, Genesis was still a worthy system to own. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here. Now, this is actually a set of cards that's worth some money. This is a near complete set of one of the most valuable basketball card runs, or any run in the history of sports cards. This is I guess what had happened was basketball cards were produced up until about 1982, and then they stopped. Maybe even 1980, and they stopped. And then in about, I would say maybe this was 87, 86, 87. In 1986, they released a set. This is a set with a Michael Jordan rookie, which of course I don't have, but I think it's otherwise complete. I don't have everything here. I have a couple of them graded, but like these are the chase cards, Byron Scott, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing. These are probably about $10 each or more. Charles Barkley, all in pretty good condition. And I was really into this a number of years ago. And then, of course, I stopped. Well, hey, we got a Super Nintendo fan, Heart Foundation 99. It was an interesting Heart Foundation 99. I just was showing, I don't know if you saw this, but found some WWE magazines, or WWF magazines, including the beloved Bret Hart introducing us to the internet. So, funny that you came in. But yeah, I love this era of basketball. And, like I said, this is near complete. I don't have the Magic Johnson in here because I have that in a slab. I don't have the Larry Bird. And, of course, I don't have the Michael Jordan rookie, which was and is incredibly valuable. It's probably about a $500 card last I checked. But Cliff Robinson. But yeah, this is my favorite era of basketball, and it was just cool to have this set. And my parents, I had this in a box, I think, and they put it in this nice little binder. All right, just keeping it coming here with the nostalgia. All right, so next up, got some more stuff here. Let's have some random cards. What is this? Oh, playing cards. This is all in that box. Oh, I said I had an Alan Trammell. He just got into the Hall of Fame. This is kind of a controversial pick, I guess. He wasn't a great player. but an autographed Alan Trammell card. Steve Avery rookie card that I saved for some reason. And a Jack McDowell rookie card. Haven't seen those in years. Now, this was another thing that I picked up. I was getting into comic book cards. And yeah, that was the best era of basketball. I used to watch the NBA on NBC every Sunday, every game. Oh, look at this. So I guess I talked about how some of my WWE magazines were in great condition, and some are in bad condition because I would cut out these cards. The Lex Express card. Yeah, these were definitely from the magazines. Here's the King of the Ring 93 with the Hitman. He won those 3 matches. I think it was Mr. Perfect, Bam Bam, and maybe Razor Ramon to win the first King of the Ring. Undertaker, Mantor. I mean, this is... Look at that. Jim Cornette. So anyway, that was that set. And then I talked actually on the stream... do I have a Jose Canseco? You had thousands of cards, but never a Jose Canseco. Yeah, I mean, if he was in that 87 set that I was just showing you, I definitely have other Jose Cansecos, but I believe he was in that set. Yeah, Brett and Owen. Not only were they both great wrestlers, but that was a great match at WrestleMania 10. So anyway, I know everyone's in like Marvel fever now, but I remember liking Marvel stuff before it was popular. And I talked about how I went into this comic book shop on the side of a highway, which is why the thumbnail for this is a highway near where I grew up. And I walked to this comic book shop and I bought all of these Marvel cards. And they are in good condition. I don't know what the deal is with them. And honestly, I can't remember who these people are. I mean, obviously I know some of them. But yeah, this was not something that you would admit. And it was interesting. I remember growing up, let's just kind of go through these quickly. There was always a ton of, like, Apocalypse. They just had a movie about Apocalypse. A ton of card shops. And I don't know where I got the money or why I was... Oh, this. Was that Magneto? This is one of my favorites. So, if anyone knows, there's actually a Dracula. If these cards are valuable, let me know. I suspect that they aren't. So I don't know what set these are. There were some other weird ones in there, too. I could have sworn I saw G.I. Joe cards. Maybe not. But look at Iron Man before the movie Iron Man. So that's one set. Then it seems like I found some SpiderMan, the SpiderMan comic series in card form. And I guess it's a 30th anniversary card set. And apparently it just tells the story of the early Spider-Mans, which I don't really know. Now there's an X-Man thing in there. Maybe this is not. This is all from Spider-Man? Yeah. Spider-Man 2. I guess the X-Men made an appearance there. So, you know, as I look through these cards, maybe the only reason why I bought them was that they are appealing. They're just kind of fun to look at. And as a kid, you know, you just didn't see this, comics in card form. So I was drawn to them. And we've got more of these coming. I believe this is actually a complete set. They are now out of order, but so be it. I didn't think they were in order. I'm going to save the best for last here. And it seems like I have more of those. Yeah. What set this was? 92 Marvel Entertainment. Have Rogue. I think also what got me to buy these was, the 1992 was the year that X-Men animated series came on television, and that was extremely popular amongst the geek crowd, of which I was a part. And so maybe that's what forced me to get these. And again, I still think it's just the unique idea of it. I always collected baseball cards, but now they had comic cards. All right, moving on. I'm going to put these over here. Now this set is what I remember, most vividly buying on that. It was a cold day. I rode my bike down the side of maybe I walked the side of this highway and found this comic book store. This was, and we saw an ad for these in that magazine I was looking at on the last stream. The Fleer Flare Marvel cards. So we have the Blob, Blaze, Black Widow. A couple of these are stuck together. Black Panther. So now they've got the Black Panther movie. This is, I guess, how he was portrayed in this one. Was this 92? So I'm guessing I got these in 92 or 93. Who is this? Black Cat, Bishop. And I just really like these. I'm just going to go through these. I just like the artwork on these. Beast, Archangel. I don't know if you can tell, but it had that Fleer Flare gloss to them, which again, it was new, it was different. Probably started in 89 with Upper Deck, where they had that gloss to them. Dark Hawk. I don't remember Dark Hawk. Daredevil. Now it seems like over the years... Oh, I remember this one. I love this card. Love the look of this card. Cyclops. Colossus. Big fan of Colossus. Captain Britain. I don't remember that. Captain America. Yeah, so over the years, that gloss, it seems like on some of them it's worn off and it's fused together. Bullseye. Dazzler. But yeah, to me, these cards were just, it was well done art. And again, not that I knew all of these people. Doctor Strange. I was looking for Doctor Strange. So, again, they just had the Doctor Strange movie. That was what he looked like circa 1992. Octopus, Doctor Doom. Yeah, I think that, each card has just a great artistry. Gambit, Galactus. And quite frankly, the art on these cards is, I'm thinking, a lot nicer than the art in the comic books from back then. I was never actually a comic book reader, although I did find several comic books in that stash. Great Iron Man. One of the Fantastic Four people. Silver Surfer? No, Iceman. But yeah, this is one of the things that I intend to keep. Kingpin. I should probably display these. Jean Grey. And actually I have to say that I like this. I look at Magneto with all the metallic things. I have to say I prefer this art style to what I've seen today in comic books. Mojo. Never heard of these guys. Mephisto. Megan. Guess this was the Marvel Aquaman. Mr. Sinister. We haven't had him in a movie, I don't think, so that is probably coming up. But, yeah, it's just a walk down memory lane. And I would have to say it was, unless I don't think this was part of like a game or anything. I think this was just a series of collector cards. I always like Nightcrawler. And they look great. And they still look great. Look at that, Nick Fury. They still look great today. So, hope that is an interesting bit of nostalgia. Huh, I'm not a geek. Well, I don't know exactly what all the politically correct meanings are these days, but let's just say that back when I bought these, back when I was collecting these, it was not something that I shared with too many people. Even the baseball card crowd thought I was insane for wasting money on these, but I do not regret the purchase. Another guy, like, who was that? The Punisher. Yeah, Sandman. Oh yeah, going through these cards, these are just great looking cards. Red Skull, Silver Sable. I'd actually be curious to look at the background of these. I would say, even though... Oh, that's a gorgeous Spider-Man. Even though some of the gloss is worn off on some of the cards, I would say that they're in pretty good condition overall. Wolverine. And Wonder Man. The Wolverine card. White Queen. Weapon Omega. Venom. Yeah, I guess this is 100 cards. Look at that. And then the checklist. Ultron. I thought Ultron was a new invention. And Tombstone. So there you go. 100 card set of Marvel. I guess they're not Fleer. Skybox cards. So anyway, I just wanted to come on and do that. Do a little quick stream going down memory lane with a couple of these items. Have I forgotten anything? No, did the magazines. Did all the cards. Did the basketball. So, yeah, I think seeing as I haven't had any glitches, I'm going to cut it off there. Since I have everything hooked up, I have to run and do some holiday visiting, but I may come back on a little bit later and do some game streaming since everything's set up. So, thanks for watching, and perhaps I'll see you soon.